À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, unité. Top, allumage moteur Vulcain. Allumage confirmé. Top, allumage EAP, décollage. Lift-off, c'est bon. Première manœuvre, orientation du lanceur. Les paramètres à bord sont normaux, la trajectoire est nominale.
And there she goes, hauling herself against the gravity of the Earth. We've rotated to the east. We're heading out over the Atlantic. We're burning 3 engines, the Vulcan, which we did light on the ground, but actually it's those 2 boosters which are doing all the work here. In fact, their job's really to get us away from the gravity of the Earth, isn't it?
Yes, the boosters are providing 90% of the thrust right now, and each booster is burning 2 tons of propellant per second. To give you an idea, if you fill your car once a week, that's how much gas you'd use in a year.
And we're just hearing it. We're 15 kilometres from the pad, Simon. We're just getting the sound of the launcher as it flies over. In fact, we can even feel the vibrations, can't we? It does take a little while for the sound to get you, though, doesn't it?
Well, like you say, 15 kilometres from a pad, but we do feel it. And of course, those in launch control, they too will certainly be feeling this. It's quite sensational.
What's it like for the satellites in there?
They too will be feeling some dynamics right now. They get acoustic vibrations at launch. We flood the pad with water to dampen this effect, and then they get another round of acoustics as we pass through the sound barrier. Though the satellites are very well prepared for this, it's all part of a plan.
We're very lucky tonight. We are having beautiful clear skies. We could have had a few clouds, but we haven't. So we're getting these phenomenal images of Ariane as she flies through that what looks like a blue sky heading into space. And here on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the trajectory. Just talk us through that briefly.
Yes, the curve, this is a computer simulation of the actual trajectory. The white dot on the curve, that's the actual position of the launch vehicle right now. The V means the velocity, and the A means the altitude.
Now we can see those boosters separating and heading back down to Earth. Basically, they've burnt all their fuel. We don't need them anymore, and there they are. We're losing weight.
Yes, we've lost about 3/4 of our weight, in fact, in just over the 2 minutes. The lighter we are, the more efficient we are, and the faster we can go.
Absolutely, and that's why we jettison parts throughout the flight once we no longer need them. So now the main stage is doing all the work. We can see it. That's the dot in the middle of the 2 boosters there.
That's right. It's a huge tank of cryogenic propellant, and it's going to burn for 9 minutes in total.
And the fairing is the structure that we saw earlier at the top of the vehicle, which is protecting the satellites from the rigours of the launch. One of those, of course, we haven't mentioned is friction.
Indeed, and yes, the launch is flying through our dense atmosphere at a very high speed.
And we're getting confirmation now that the fairing has separated. The fairing is, we're effectively technically in space, and you can see it there falling in 2 parts back down to Earth. We don't need it anymore because, of course, there's no friction in space.
Indeed, yes. The atmosphere is about 100 kilometers deep. Any remaining gas up there, it's so thin, the satellites are now safe from the effects of the atmosphere.
And there we go. We can see our 2 passengers for the first time. That's EchoStar 17 at the front and MSG-3 is behind, but we can't actually see it yet.
No, that's right. It's hidden underneath that black structure, what we call the cylinder. And it's designed especially to enable Ariane to launch 2 satellites at the same time.
And this year, the Arianespace family of launchers has grown to 3. It's been busy times at Arianespace. Well, certainly a demanding job and very rewarding. I'm sure there are lots of young people who'd like to be in Martin's shoes. So there we have the upper stage with MSG attached. The black structure is the cylinder. There's everybody in mission control. What's our speed and altitude here?
We are currently doing 1,700 kilometers per hour.
Séparation du système de lancement double.
And we have separation of the cylinder. There it goes. It's that black structure. Simon, you work with the upper stages of the launcher. What's the mechanism for separation of the spacecraft?
Well, for this configuration, the spacecraft and the launch vehicle, they are connected at two circular interfaces. They are held together by what we call a clamp band. This is an extremely tight titanium belt. Pyrotechnic charges will then trigger this belt to open and release the spacecraft. Then a series of compressed springs, they will push the spacecraft on its journey.
So the satellites are effectively pinged into space, you could say.
Something like that, where the conditions have to be so precise.
Once MSG is separated, it too will undergo a series of operations.
Following a separation from the launch vehicle, the LEOP phase will start. The LEOP is the launch and early orbit operations phase. It will be conducted by ESOC. It will be lasting about 10 days and bringing the satellite to the 3.4 west position on the geostationary ring, where EUMETSAT will take control of the satellite itself. The LEOP phase will be followed by the commissioning. The commissioning will be a phase lasting about 6 months, during which the in-orbit performance and the end-to-end performance of the overall system in space and on ground will be measured, and the meteorological products to the users will be validated before starting the routine operations service. At the end of it, the system will be declared operational. MSG-3 will be renamed as METEOSAT 10 and eventually moved to the 0-degree position where it will perform itself. I would like at this point in time to thank all the teams, in particular the industrial team for the satellite, ESA, the LEOP team at ESOC, EUMETSAT, Arianespace and CSG for the support provided during the launch campaign.
I think, Simon, you had us travelling a little bit faster than we actually are earlier.
Well, I'd like to correct. We're at 8.4 kilometers per second.
We mentioned that every satellite's different, and now that it's separated, EchoStar 17 is stabilising itself on 3 axes. It's using its own thrusters on board to do this. What about MSG-3?
MSG, this is a spinner. That means it stabilizes itself simply by rotating about its longitudinal axis, just like a spinning top. Right now, we're actually spinning it up for it. The upper stage is rotating faster and faster, and we need a spin rate of approximately 30 degrees per second in order to separate correctly.
And that's why you can see it turning around and spinning. And what about EchoStar 17? What degree was that?
Less than 1 degree per second.
Okay. It's interesting, really, because when we're watching these images in space, everything looks as if it's happening slowly. It's actually fast. And we have separation of MSG-3. Congratulations to everybody at EUMETSAT and Thales Alenia Space. A job well done.
Yes, congratulations indeed. It's been a great campaign. Well done to all the teams involved.
And there we see METEOSAT second generation 3 spinning off onto its orbit. It's a big day and the culmination of many, many months and for some years' work. Everybody's looking very happy there in Jupiter. It must be a great feeling. What's it like in launch control right now?
Oh, it's an intense feeling of a job very well done. They all know they played a key part. They all know they played a key part in this adventure. They will be delighted with today's success. They've all worked incredibly hard during this campaign. It is very intense. They'll also be wanting to relax a bit too.
I'm sure they will. And for some, of course, it's a bit of a quick turnaround for the next campaign.
Indeed.
I think they'll deserve a beer or two this evening, don't you?
1 or 2.
We're now going to be hearing from some of the key people involved in the launch. But you know, Ariane's job is not actually over, because we do have some processes that we have to go through. We're going to have another look at that beautiful launch. Very lucky tonight, had some amazing images. Yeah, I was just saying that we do have a few processes because Ariane has to distance itself, and we go through what we call passivation.
Yes, the last phase of operations. Yes, the last phase of the operations. We will orientate the upper stage, de-spin it, put it in a safe direction to the spacecraft orbits.
Good evening. As you've just seen, the 63rd Ariane 5 launch has just placed EchoStar 17 and MSG-3 in orbit. This is good news. First of all, this is the 49th success in a row for our launch vehicle, and that's a remarkable achievement. And second, because this evening's countdown has once again culminated in a launch on schedule, confirming the abilities of our operational team. Since the beginning of the year, and this is this year's third launch, we have been on schedule. So you didn't have to wait. And that is certainly a good thing. And finally, the two satellites that we have just orbited have once again demonstrated the flexibility of the Ariane 5 vehicle, which can simultaneously place in orbit one of the largest telecommunications satellites ever built for a private sector American operator, and one of the most powerful meteorological satellites ever developed for a European intergovernmental organization. So I want to warmly thank our customers, Hughes, EchoStar, EUMETSAT, and ESA, as well as all of those who have come to attend the launch here in French Guiana. EchoStar 17. I'm very pleased to turn this evening to our friends from Hughes. We launched the first satellite for Hughes on the 14th of August 2007. And I remember that launch because it was a milestone in the history of our company. When we signed the launch contract on February the 15th of that year, I made a commitment to launch the satellite within 6 months. And if you do the arithmetic from the 15th of February, you get the 15th of August. And we launched on the 14th of August. So we do what we say. We meet our commitments. And we were therefore on schedule, and I'm sure that's one reason why you entrusted the launch of your second satellite to us. The second satellite, the one we just launched, was built by Space Systems Loral. It's a very powerful satellite, and it will enable you to meet your customers' fast-growing demand for very high-speed internet services, not just in the U.S., but also in Canada. So I'd like to warmly welcome my friend Charlie Ergen, who has done us the honor of coming to be with us for this launch. And he, therefore, was at Toucan for the launch and saw the separation of the fairing. And I would like to congratulate you for this choice. Yesterday was Independence Day in the United States, and today Arianespace has enabled EchoStar 17 to become independent. At the time of separation, I saw someone saying Independence Day. That was not our idea. MSG-3, EUMETSAT is one of Arianespace's most long-standing and most loyal customers. We've launched practically all of your satellites. And since Meteosat 2 was launched in 1981, you have entrusted all of your launches to us. I think we didn't do your first launch, but we didn't exist at the time. MSG-3 was built by Thales Arianespace, and it's the 9th satellite in the series. And I thank you very warmly for coming to us. I'd like to congratulate my friend Alain Ratier, who's been watching this launch from Darmstadt with representatives of the EUMETSAT member states. And I also want to thank Ernst Kahnemann and Philippe Goudy for being with us here this evening. Now, beyond this evening's success, MSG-3 left a bit later than planned, and the next launch will be in Baikonur on September the 19th. That will be METOP B by a Starsem Soyuz launcher. So thank you to our customers, and I also want to say a word of heartfelt thanks to all of those who have been working hard in Europe and in French Guiana for years to prepare the launcher and its implementation facilities. And they have succeeded time and again in strengthening Europe's position in the international space sector. And I'm talking here to our friends in Vernon, who have told us that it is the 1,200th motor produced by SNECMA since the inception of Ariane, which is quite a lot, and I think they deserve it. I think our friends in Vernon will appreciate that. So self-evidently, with all of these successes, Ariane 5 works. It works well. Ariane 5 will be working for a long time to come. Following this launch, and thanks to all the contracts that we signed since the beginning of the year, 5 contracts for geostationary orbits, and we have a huge number of Ariane launches, and we've got 3.5 to sell to the end of the year. And thanks to all of these contracts, we have no fewer than 22 firm Ariane 5 launches in our order book. And if you calculate a rate of about 6 or 7 launches a year, that gives us more than 3 years of work. So thank you very much. Bravo to you all. And without further ado, I'd like to hand over to our customers, Adrian Mars for EchoStar 17, Ernst Gunnemann and Philippe Gaudy for MSG-3, and Joël Barre for Peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Yves. I'd just like to say to you and the Arianespace team and Wiener and Jacques and Clay, who I know is at Toucan, fantastic job. We're delighted we came back for the second time to you after the Spaceway 3, so a round of applause for your team. You know, as I said this morning, this satellite is one of the largest ever designed and built, and Space Systems Loral did the job. So congratulations to John Shelley and Andy Tillman, who's here from Loral. So fantastic job. Also, the satellite will have coverage over North America, including both the United States and Canada. And for our Canadian coverage, our partners ExploreNet and the CEO of ExploreNet, John Maduri, is here. So great job, John. So finally, just to the Hughes team and the EchoStar team, I think we started the paperwork on this in March of 2007 and went into the contract in the middle of 2009. So our CEO, Pradman Kaul, and our business leader, Paul Gatsky, who's here from North America, were pioneers on this. Plus a lot of people. Bob Bushman, who's behind the glass right now and has been for, I don't know how long, but several days with Reza Razulian. They did a fantastic job. And also Dave Roos, who's somewhere here, and Stan Kay, who are our system engineering guys. So just to all the Hughes team and, you know, on behalf of Charlie Ergin and Mike Dugan, thanks to Arianespace, and thank you very much to everybody here in Kourou, and congratulations. And we're now going to put this into service as the most advanced broadband by satellite system in the world. So thank you.
Jean-Yves, as usual, I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to Arianespace for the safe and very competent service they provided to us again for the launch of MSG-3, and you have counted the long history which we have with you with all the launches. My special appreciation also goes to our colleagues from ESA, Thales, and CNES, who operates the Kourou Centre Spatial Guiana. And last but not least, to our EUMETSAT team here in Kourou, who all together worked so hard to make this successful launch possible. Now the work probably will transfer to the LEOP guys in ESOC and EUMETSAT. and that starts now, and I'm confident that at the end of the commissioning phase, the continuation of our service from the geostationary orbit to our member states will be secured at least to 2020. And Jean-Yves, as you said, let me add a personal note. I take it for granted that you see us on the 19th of September, 11,000 kilometers east from here, for another successful METOP launch. Thanks a lot.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, really, I want to say that this launch of MSG-3 is a great success for not only space in Europe, but also for all those people throughout the world who are using the data and the imagery from meteorological satellite. So really, all our congratulations to the launcher team, to the people here on the base, from Arianespace, from ESA, from CNES, for extremely highly professional work, really, tonight. Also, of course, thank you very much for all the people who have prepared the spacecraft in Thales, in EUMETSAT, in ESA, and our thoughts to the people that will be doing the commissioning and the early phases back in Darmstadt. We have a very efficient cooperation with EUMETSAT. The story goes on. We are already working on the next generation of METEOSAT series, METEOSAT third generation. We are also preparing the METOP second generation series that will be tabled at upcoming ministerial conference of ESA. So this is fruitful and long-lasting development that we have for, I would say, every one of us, for all of us using meteorology. But our next challenge, short term, is Baikonur, September 19. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm obviously very happy to have this opportunity to thank the team that achieved this magnificent launch this evening. We are just as happy as the customers. This was a launch that once again showed that the CSG is a good launch center. We have launched an internet satellite for the public at large and a meteorological satellite that you just heard about that is necessary for society at large. Here we see the fabulous applications of space systems that we are witnessing today. And the CSG is happy to be part of that. Thank you to the customers, Hughes, EUMETSAT, and ESA, and Space Systems Laurel, and Thales Arianespace for having entrusted this to us, for having sent your teams down here for months at a time. Wasn't always easy because at previous launches we had a few technical difficulties, and so in our EPCU building there were a few problems, and we hope that you won't bear us a grudge about that and that you'll come back very soon. Second reason we can be very happy this evening is that this was the fourth flight of 2012 as Jean-Yves Le Gall. We had the first maiden flight of Vega in February, and 4 flights. That means that we are upping the pace of our launches. CSG is expanding. When I came here 5 years ago, we had about 1,300 people on the base, and now we are up to 1,600. This drives the economy of French Guiana, and I would like to greet all of our friends from French Guiana who are here with us this evening and who have always supported us in this fabulous adventure. So once again, congratulations to all of the teams, CNES, Arianespace, ESA, EUMETSAT, and all of our industrialists, the people who make the launcher and who work at the launch base. Good for you. Great launch. Bravo to all of you.
Merci. Donc,
thank you very much. So this was a success, and the next launch will be on the 2nd of August. Intelsat 20, which came here a couple of days ago, and HILAS 2, which will be arriving tomorrow. Once again, thank you so much. Bravo to all of you, and we'll see you in a bit less than a month for another launch. Thank you very much.
So it's mission accomplished once again for Arianespace. Congratulations to everybody who has worked so hard to bring us to today.
Yes, absolutely. Best wishes to our customers. It really was great working with you, and we look forward to doing so again soon.
So we have 2 spacecraft heading out on their journey to their final orbit. The best of luck to all the teams with the next phase of operations. Thanks for joining us here live at the Guiana Space Centre. From me, Katie Haswell.
And myself, Simon Thompson. Goodbye.